Today we will be watching his story live.
Pussycats, and nobody had ever called their bluff. I walked out the next morning a free man. My sister never found out what it cost me. I'd do it again. I looked around, and every kid in the room had the same look on their face. A girl raised her hand. Is this a joke? Mrs. Larson slammed her palm on the desk. No talking during the test. I stood up. I refuse to answer this. Then you fail. Fine, I'll fail. Two more kids pushed back their chairs and stood with me. But the quiet kid who always ate alone walked his test up to the front. Answered. Done. The popular girl looked at her friends, wrote something down, and handed hers in too. One by one, more kids started writing. You guys stop. Mrs. Larson stood over me. If you don't answer, everyone in this class fails because of you, Caleb. Everyone. My friend grabbed my arm. Just write something. It's not real. It's just words on paper. We all need to pass. Another kid whispered. My pen scratched across the paper. A random name. I handed it in. Mrs. Larson collected every test and read them one by one. Her face gave nothing away. She looked up. Caleb, stand up. Come to the front. I walked up on shaking legs, and she turned to the class. This is who you all voted to kill. I spun around. All of you, half the room looked away. You threatened them. This wasn't serious. The motive doesn't matter. They all agreed you should die for their survival. A girl shot out of her seat. We didn't. It's just words. It was a joke. Interesting. Mrs. Larson walked to the projector and turned it on. A photo filled the screen. A girl, maybe 17, basketball uniform, smiling. Anyone recognize her? I looked closer. She was a grade above us. Rachel something. I sat with her at lunch once. She didn't talk much. Mrs. Larson's smile disappeared. Rachel was the #1 girls basketball player at this school. Then she twisted her ankle and lost one game. Everyone told her to kill herself, but it was just words. They sent threats online about her missing the shot, but
Oh guys, I left my stick.
Rachel spent every day alone. 3 weeks later, she unalived herself. Everyone filed out without a word. I stayed behind. Mrs. Larson, who was she? She wiped her eyes. My daughter. Last month, I walked over and hugged her. They found hundreds of messages on her phone telling her to die. All from classmates. All just joking. She pulled back and looked at me. Words have power. I was in my back garden, putting my hand near the pool, trying to work up the courage to touch the water, when the neighbor's kid ran into our yard. He grabbed the garden hose and aimed it directly at me. Is it true you're allergic to water? My legs buckled and I instantly shot my hands up. My aquagenic urticaria meant any contact with water literally burned and blistered my skin. Yes, it's true. Please put that down, I begged. But he just grinned. I don't believe it. I need to see it. He pressed the button, and the water instantly hit my face and chest. I screamed in pain because my skin felt on fire, and I tried to run away, but he chased me with the hose, spraying and laughing as I ran. No way it actually works. Come here, water boy. I ran inside and locked my door, then immediately dropped to the floor. My face, my back, my chest, arms, and legs were all soaked, and the red rashes were already forming over my body. Some skin was peeling off, and behind the door, I heard the neighbor's kids still laughing. I'll be here when you come out. He stuck the garden hose through our dog door and sprayed me again, and I backed away crying as I'd never been in so much pain. I clenched my fists and grabbed a towel to dry myself and started feeling better, but he was still in the back garden, smirking and pointing at me every time I went near the window. I knew I needed to get rid of him, but if I went outside, he'd just spray me. That's when I remembered he was allergic to peanut butter. I instantly poured all my peanut butter into a bowl and stuck the bowl in the microwave. I watched him spray my windows with the hose while the peanut butter spun, and when the peanut butter was in liquid form, I ran upstairs with the bowl. I opened the window and smirked. He saw me and put his fingers on the hose trigger, but I tipped the bowl first. A pound of liquid peanut butter started falling on his head from the second story, and his face twisted in horror. He dropped the garden hose and backed away, but some peanut butter had already splashed on his head. I watched grinning as he screamed, "I'm allergic." He stumbled backwards, and suddenly his foot slipped on the water he'd sprayed by the pool earlier. He went crashing into my pool and splashed hard, covered in peanut butter. I saw him start to go blue and just laughed. I shut my window and called the ambulance. He wasn't going to die, but he wasn't going to ever spray me with a garden hose again. I put my hand on my holster and scanned the crowd, looking for threats while the mayor spoke into the microphone. I was his bodyguard, and I just caught a figure in a dark blue hoodie and shorts at the edge of the crowd. My eyes narrowed as I noticed the pistol-shaped outline in their pocket, and I instantly radioed the other guards as I realized what this meant. But the figure saw me and immediately disappeared into the crowd. My focus dropped down to the front row, where my wife was smiling at me, but I frowned because next to her, my daughter's seat was empty. She'd screamed she hated my job and hated the mayor this morning, slamming the door in my face before I left, and I thought about how awful it would be if something happened today, and that was our last interaction. Suddenly, my radio crackled again. "We can't find the figure with the hoodie in the crowd." I felt extremely uneasy and decided it was too dangerous dangerous. I walked across the stage and leaned into the mayor's ear while he was speaking. We've identified a perceived threat. You need to leave for your safety immediately. I could see his skin go white in fear, and he immediately nodded. The crowd gasped. What's happening? But I said nothing and began escorting the mayor off stage. I looked at my wife and nodded, but then while scanning the crowd one last time, my eyes caught movement. The same hooded figure was pushing through the crowd with the kind of urgency that only meant one thing. I tried to stay calm, but then I caught a glint of metal in their pocket. The other guards were too far away to tackle them, and they pulled out a gun and raised it at the mayor. My brain went on autopilot as I dived in front of the mayor. Time slowed down, and while in the air, I looked at my wife. I thought about how she was going to have to see her husband die in front of her. I thought about my daughter and how the last thing we did was slam a door in each other's faces. I heard the sound of the bullet flying and suddenly felt the impact. The shot hit my knee. I fell hard, bleeding from my leg and groaning in pain, but the mayor was okay. Other guards swarmed him, and I saw my wife crying and screaming, trying to get to me while security held her back. But then I looked past the crowd and saw the shooter running away, and my body froze in shock, and tears began rolling down my cheeks. The shooter had a scar on their calf, the same scar my daughter has. My daughter was the shooter. She would rather shoot her father than let him do his job. I handed my son a ball of garbage on his 9th birthday. I couldn't afford a football, but I spent all night making this for you. He started dribbling it around our poor African village. I love it, Baba. One day I'll be a famous footballer in the World Cup, and I'm going to be so rich I'll buy you whatever you want. I didn't know what to say.
Yo, wait guys, is this a real his story? Let me see my list. Wait. Yeah, this is his story. And ignore this guys, this is my mother's phone and I put that. Hey, there you go.
Entire time, immediately grabbed my arm and demanded I put back because I hadn't stolen anything. But he blocked the door and announced, "Nobody's leaving until this criminal admits to what he stole." Nobody thought he was serious, but when a woman to walk through, he physically shoved her back. I said nobody's leaving, out my receipt to show him I'd paid, but he crossed his arms and said, "I know a thief when I see one. You just hid it somewhere." All customers started yelling as a huge crowd formed behind me. My mom is waiting in the car. I'm getting snacks from my brother in the hospital. I have a bus to catch. Let me out or I swear this won't end well for you. But the guard just smirked and said they can leave once I confess. A few people turned to me, and a man I didn't know even tried going through my pockets, looking for what I stole. Suddenly, a store employee who'd heard everything walked over and gave the security guard a tablet with CCTV footage. It showed me coming in, grabbing my things, paying, and going to leave. But the guard took one look at it and said, "I know how these people work." He angled himself away while putting in his pants. The crowd got angrier, and I was so furious I dropped my jeans with his hands up. Because his dad
Guys,
runs this
only
whole
10
place.
minutes
He
video.
bullies people
Now I'm
with
going
phone.
back.